Is Neches Phelps, and I am part of the SPED Homeschool Review Crew. Today I'm going to be unboxing for you Heart of Dakota. Now before I do, I want to talk to you a little bit about how truly delightful the experience was when I called them. Right, so of course, like, I called to set all of this up, and I was just truly amazed. Like, they were so kind and so very helpful. The lady that I spoke to, she asked me about my children's strengths and weaknesses. She asked me about my family's goals and what my goals were for them personally. And she wanted to make sure that nothing was going to be too much. And I really appreciated the authentic experience that she gave me. And I wanted to just be able to share that with you, because I know that sometimes it's really difficult to place our children in a curriculum that we're just not familiar with. And if we fall in love with something that we hear about, and that, we go and we see maybe on YouTube, and then sometimes we can get a little stuck, right? And so just making sure that you call the publishing company and you actually get somebody on the phone who knows what they're talking about and is able to kind of go back and forth with you and give you strategies, that was just the cherry on top for me, right? So if you're considering this curriculum, do give them a call and see how they can help you make this work for your kiddos. Right, so she placed us in Bigger Hearts for His Glory. And again, this was based on my children's strengths and weaknesses and our goals. Okay, so I have children ages 14, 11, and 7. In this particular program, it says a learning program for ages 7 to 9, extending to ages 10 through 11, right? And so I can work with some of my children at the same time, and that's what I was really looking for. I wanted to be able to work with as many of my kids at the same time together, right? This is a teacher guide for the whole year. And so this is really nice to be able to just kind of open up and know exactly what it is that you're going to do. Right, so this is Bigger Hearts for His Glory. The box also gave me an invoice. The very first thing that I got out of the box was the catalog, which is really nice, because if you're looking at a curriculum like this with all of the components put together, then you're going to want to know kind of what your read alouds are, what your story time is going to be, what your history, your science, and you're going to get lots of different books. This is literature based. And so you want to be able to maybe put the science all in one spot, put the history all in one spot, and so you can get your reader when you need to as quickly and as easy as you can. Right, so that was my goal. So I went ahead and I organized this as much as I could. This is a Charlotte Mason curriculum, and so it's meant to be short lessons, which I think is invaluable for our kiddos that struggle with attention, so they know they don't have to sit very long for any particular subject. All right, so first what I'm going to go over with you is reading, because that was the main part where I had lots of questions. Okay, so Bigger Hearts for His Glory, just part of the curriculum in and of itself, it gives you the choice. Are you going to do emerging readers? Are you going to do phonics? Are you going to go into maybe a second grade, or what do they call it? Like a second level reader, which are primarily chapter books, I believe is what they said. So I chose for one child, I chose emerging readers, and then for my other child I chose that second level. So I'm going to tell you what I got in my package. Okay, so what I received was the Early Reader's Bible. This would be for one. I told her that one of my goals was to be able to do devotionals with my children at the same time, to teach them kind of how to do that together and to really kind of bring our family together in Christ. So she actually read me a bit from the Early Reader's Bible and the Beginner's Bible as well, so I could tell kind of which kid we needed to be where. And because it was one of my goals, she sent me both, right? So know that that's an option for you too. So you've got the Early Reader's Bible and the Beginner's Bible, and they are both in the Emergent Readers collection. And so you'd be able to choose, typically you'd be able to choose one. In my case, because I'm working with two of mine together, she allowed me to get both of them, and I'm sure that would be an option for you as well. Okay, it also comes with Owl at Home, Frog and Toad All Year, Frog and Toad Are Friends, Wagon Wheels, Amelia Bedelia, Buffalo Bill and the Pony Express, Prairie School, First Flight, the story of Tom Tate and the Wright brothers. And I should be opening up these books so you can get some pictures. All right, so these are nice. One of the things that they said that was especially interesting to me was that they start the emerging readers that they choose them specifically to kind of get the child used to an emerging reader and then slowly transition them to a chapter book. And that's kind of been where one of my kiddos is stuck. And so I really was interested in her approach. So the next one here is Nature Reader. And so, so this is science. Tornado, lots of animal selections here. I know my kids really like animals. And when they're reading about a special interest, it's easier to keep somebody's attention. There are a few pictures in here, not many. Right, this is more of a small chapter book. Right? Animal Adventures, The Bears on Hemlock Mountain, and The Courage of Sarah Noble. All right, so moving on, the second component, or the next component, level up rather, of their curriculum is when you're done with the emerging readers. So the next level is Drawn into the Heart of Reading. And this here, so I have their teacher's guide is levels 2 through 8. Levels 2 through 8 includes group projects, teacher-directed lessons, how to divide up the reading for your child. And then mine also came with the student book. The student book I was particularly interested in because of kind of these little worksheets, right? So my kiddo, he is going to need help with his narrations, Charlotte Mason narrations. And he just needs help getting that language out. And so these, in a sense, are going to serve as a prompt for him. So that's going to be really helpful. So I wanted to see how that was going to work. It had various genres in here: biography, adventure, historical fiction, fantasy, mystery, folktales, nonfiction, humor, realistic fiction, right? So it really just kind of covers everything. And for this level of reading, you can either choose your own readers. And so, for example, if you have a kiddo who maybe is really interested in particular people or particular places, you can use those, find out what the genre is, and then read those. So I think that would be very, very helpful, right? Now, you can also purchase their level 2 books, right? And so it gives you a list of level 2. It also gives you a list of level 3. And it says optional because you can either use these books, or again, you can choose something that maybe you think your child would love better, or maybe your child just is stuck on something at the library, a particular subject, and you can just use that reader, right? So let me show you those. Okay. So this is Dolphin Adventure, Amelia Earhart, Stone Fox. I'm just going to show you, these are like little chapter books here. Hannah, Pioneer Cat, The Littles, The Storm, The Treasure of Pelican Cove, McBroom's Wonderful One-Acre Farm, The Secret School. And I want to show you, so the books are getting thicker, less pictures in here, looking more maybe like a middle school novel that you maybe remember reading. Cappy Boppy, Who's That Stepping on Plymouth Rock? So again, various genres. Sammy and His Shepherd, Seeing Jesus in Psalm 23. And One Small Square, Backyard. So I loved that they had different genres. So it really does get your child familiar with all the different kinds of reading, right, that they would need to do in prepping them for adulthood. Right. So that's the literature component. I want to talk a little bit now about, let's see, grammar. Right, so for grammar, you also got a choice. You could do grammar level 2 or you could do grammar level 3. And again, she was able to walk me through, help me figure out what I needed. All right, so this is preparing to build English 2, and this is rod and staff. Okay. Now the other thing that she did for me, because I've got 3 kiddos, right? And so she asked about, you know, each one kind of where they were. We also thought that the right choice for one of my older sons was English 4. Again, rod and staff. This is not included with Bigger Hearts for His Glory, but because we were trying to personalize the experience, so she sent me 4, and I'm sure she would do the same for you. And also the teacher's manual for 4. Another item with the language arts component is handwriting. Right? So if you're familiar with Charlotte Mason, there's copywork, dictation, and the Bigger Hearts for His Glory guide gives you those options. They have poetry in the appendix, and so you can use the poetry for your copywork if that is your choice. And then they have a list of spelling in the back as well as dictation, so you can choose which way you want to go for that too. Right? And so we have handwriting here. She sent me both books. You get a choice between the Italic handwriting series or the Cheerful Cursive. The Italic handwriting series, she said, was not as difficult as maybe a traditional cursive. And she also sent me Cheerful Cursive. Cheerful Cursive, I thought was especially interesting when I was looking through here because, let me show you one of these pages. It has this little section that says, other ways I can look. So one of my kiddos gets stuck on a way a letter is supposed to look. And so in cursive, that can be tricky because it looks a little bit different depending on who's writing it. So I loved this little box. Okay. So that is Cheerful Cursive. Okay, so now let's talk about something else you have a choice of in the program. You also have a choice of which level Singapore math you're going to choose for your kiddos. This is Primary Math 2A. She also sent Primary Math A, right, for the purposes of my review. Right, so this and also the answer keys. Let me show you a little bit of Primary Math A. 2A rather. And next, let's go into history. So this is the component that you cannot do without here. Let me see. Okay. So now for history, the way the guide is set up is we start with a spine, and then the other literature is, I will say, complements the history spine. Okay, so we have my first book in American history, and it does have a few pictures, not many. Okay. It has stories of great Americans. And now the review is coming up, but from what I've seen in the guide, you only need to read a few pages every day. So again, going back to Charlotte Mason, very short lessons. I really like that. The story of the Wrights brothers and their sister. And Journeys in Time, a new atlas of American history. I have a kiddo that absolutely adores atlases, and so I'm sure that all of these pictures and these times, like the dates over here, that's going to be a favorite. I got a kiddo that's going to love that. Loves all these numbers, all these pictures in the atlas. He's going to love it. Okay. Also, it comes with notebooking pages. Now, we did talk about notebooking pages a little bit when I called her on the phone, and she told me they were absolutely beautiful, and they really are. She sent me 3 packs of notebooking pages because, again, I have 3 kids, right? So I want you to know that in your regular Bigger Hearts for His Glory package, it's not going to come with 3 notebooking pages. It's going to come with 1. But you do have the option to add things on. And again, that's really the reason that you call, is so that you're able to say, yeah, I want 3 of those, or I don't need this, but I do need that. And so they can really personalize the program for you. Okay, so here are my notebooking pages. Sorry about that. So here is an example of one of them. Okay. Very nice color. This is really nice paper too. It's not flimsy. It's nice thick paper. The next part that I want to show you is the devotionals. So this one is called Little Pillows. And then this one is Hymns for a Kid's Heart. So this would be part of music. Charlotte Mason really believed that a curriculum needed to have a full feast. And so that included music, and it included art and poetry and just real richness in studies. And that's one of the things that this curriculum has, and that I definitely want my children to have as well. So again, Hymns for a Kid's Heart, these are hymns that you would hear in church. So there's going to be a little story about it, and then you can work on the song. It also has the CD. Moving on to the read alouds. Also Charlotte Mason component. Ben and Me. Come On Seabiscuit. I don't know if you have a horse lover, but I surely do. Farmer Boy. The Buffalo Knife. Rabbit Hill. Encyclopedia Brown. The Balloon Boy. Homer Price. Misty of Chincoteague. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I'm really not familiar with this one. And More Stories from Grandma's Attic. We also have Science. Thomas A. Edison. John Audubon. One Small Square, Seashore. Have you ever seen inside these One Small Square books? These are, I love them. They have all of these great pictures, which really engage your children. Science in Colonial America. One Small Square Woods. A Pioneer Sampler. So this talks about science back in colonial times and what the people would have encountered then. Really like that. Okay, and last but not least, we're going to talk about the extensions. So like I told you, one of my children is 11. And so maybe if you have an older kid that's doing this with a younger one, like I do, you might want to challenge your kiddo more, and you can do that. So these readers are meant to be read independently, right? So I will show you those. We have Esperanza Rising, Pedro's Journal, and again, so a lot of these are going to go along with the curriculum that you're studying. So this one is A Voyage of Christopher Columbus. So when you're studying Christopher Columbus in history, your child is going to be reading this one independently. Pocahontas, The Story of Thomas Edison, Freedom Train. I don't know if you can hear my cat meowing in the background, but she's there. Bud and Me, Almost Home, Ben and Me, Guns for General Washington, Tolliver's Secret, Once on This Island, By the Great Horn Spoon, A Child's Story of America, Planet Earth, and The New Americans Colonial Times. I gotta say that when I saw these extension readers, I thought this was really neat because I didn't think that, I guess I thought that my children were going to be reading independent readers that were just novels, that they weren't going to be reading, you know, history or science by themselves, but I love that too. And I think that as adults, we do that, right? If there's something we want to know more about, we go to the library and we might grab a book, or we might look it up on the internet, and then it's things that we might not know very much about. Or I really liked that it was going to kind of turn my kids on to nonfiction, just things about the world that they could learn about. Okay, so this concludes my unboxing of Bigger Hearts for His Glory by Heart of Dakota. I will be doing a review later on, so please tune in. And truly, if you are looking for a fantastic curriculum to meet the needs of your whole family, do give them a call and see what they have to say. I think you will be as delighted as I was with your experience.